Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, she pulls away? You text her first, plan the date, even give her compliments, and yet somehow she loses interest. Here's the hard truth. You're probably doing too much of the wrong things. Stoicism isn't about tricks or tactics. It's about becoming a man of depth, presence, and power. One who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and never loses himself in pursuit of someone else. In this video, we'll break down 10 things or mistakes a Stoic man should never do with women if he wants to attract not just her attention, but her respect. Let's get into it. Mistake 1. Don't chase, attract. The man who chases has already placed a woman on a pedestal. He's moved out of the center and into pursuit. And in doing so, he's lost one thing Stoicism never compromises on: self-command. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. To chase is to believe that she holds something you lack. Her attention, her affection, her presence, all become forms of emotional currency you're willing to trade your power for. But a Stoic man never bargains with his self-respect. Chasing is rooted in scarcity. It tells her and the world that you're incomplete until she validates you. But attraction, true, magnetic, grounded attraction, it radiates from a man who needs nothing. Modern dating culture praises the man who shows effort, but there's a fine line between showing interest and surrendering your frame. When you overinvest, overtext, and overplease, you're no longer pursuing, you're performing. A Stoic man doesn't perform. He exists with such clarity and purpose that people naturally gravitate toward him. He's centered in his mission. He's disciplined in his desires. He's selective with his energy. And because of that, he doesn't chase, he attracts. If she pulls away, he doesn't panic. If she plays games, he doesn't participate. If she tests his boundaries, he reinforces them without drama. Attraction is about showing her she's the prize. It's about becoming the prize through inner mastery. So build a life of substance. Elevate your discipline. Cultivate silence over validation. And watch what happens when your energy shifts from chasing her to becoming you. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. And in that alignment, the truly aligned woman will find you, because presence, not pursuit, is the essence of masculine magnetism. Mistake 2. Don't be emotionally reactive. One of the fastest ways to lose a woman's respect in your own power is to let your emotions drive your decisions. When you react impulsively, defensively, or desperately, you give her full control of your emotional state. That's not love. That's enslavement. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Think of emotional reactivity as the mind's undisciplined child. It cries out, slams doors, begs for attention, and demands comfort in chaos. But a Stoic man doesn't allow his emotions to lead. He observes them, questions them, and chooses stillness over storm. Modern dating culture is flooded with emotional bait. She doesn't reply and you double text. She pulls back and you spiral. She cancels plans and you confront with desperation. This behavior screams one message: you have power over me. But here's what a Stoic man does instead. He pauses. He breathes. He reflects. Then he responds. Not to control her, but to stay in control of himself. When you stop reacting emotionally, you become unpredictable in the best way. You're no longer playing her game. You're playing your own. She expects anger. You give calm. She expects pursuit. You hold frame. She expects weakness. You deliver silence. This is emotional martial arts, using her expectations against her, not to hurt, but to maintain dominance over your own mind. Emotional reactivity is a form of slavery. Stoic detachment? That's liberation. Be the calm in her chaos. Be the clarity in confusion. And most of all, be the man who doesn't flinch when others shake. Because the moment you stop reacting, you start leading. And leaders are the ones women follow. Mistake 3. Don't put her above your mission. The moment a man places a woman above his mission, he becomes fragile, easily swayed, easily broken, and easily forgotten. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In a world that celebrates emotional availability and prioritizing relationships, this may sound harsh, but it's truth. A woman may admire your affection, but she will only respect your purpose. And without that respect, attraction eventually fades. Your mission, your calling, your path, your higher aim must remain your North Star, not because you are heartless, but because you are grounded. When you sacrifice your ambition for love, you slowly begin to lose both. Your edge dulls, your vision blurs, your self-respect erodes. She didn't fall for the man who skipped workouts, skipped purpose, and over-explained himself. She fell for the man who was going somewhere. A Stoic man knows that love can complement the journey, but it must never become the journey. Let her see you locked in. Let her feel the fire in your discipline. Let her realize that she's not the mission. You are. She might get upset. She might test you. But if you remain firm, if you remain devoted to your principles, you'll ignite a deeper attraction, one rooted in admiration, not just emotion. Masculine energy leads. It doesn't orbit. It doesn't revolve. So the next time you're tempted to compromise your mission for her comfort, ask yourself, would Marcus Aurelius have abandoned his duty for validation? Probably not. And neither should you. She will either rise to walk beside you or fall away. But you keep walking. Because a man on a mission is the most dangerous and attractive man alive. Mistake 4. Don't overshare your emotions too soon. Vulnerability has become a buzzword. Culture praises emotional openness. But without boundaries, openness becomes exposure. And exposure too early can feel like emotional burden, not emotional connection. Seneca said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." Many men mistake sharing their feelings early as a path to deeper intimacy. They open the floodgates on date 1. They trauma dump. They share dreams, fears, insecurities, believing this will win trust. But what it often does instead is kill mystery. In Stoicism, we're taught to process emotion through reason and detachment, not repression, but mastery. A Stoic man doesn't unload. He reveals slowly, intentionally, and only when trust is earned. Why? Because your emotional world is sacred. It's not a gift you hand out to everyone who smiles at you. It's a mirror you protect until someone has proven they can reflect it back without judgment. Oversharing too soon signals neediness. It shows a hunger for validation rather than a command of self. Let her wonder a little. Let her earn your depth. Let your mystery be the gravity that draws her closer. A woman doesn't want to fix your emotional wounds. She wants to admire how you've handled them. So talk about your past? Eventually. Open up about what shaped you when the bond is strong. Cry in front of her if it's real, earned, and rare. But don't make your emotional life a performance. Make a standard, a code, a quiet power. The man who reveals nothing is closed, but the man who reveals everything too soon is exposed. Be the man whose emotions are real, but never reckless. Be the man who owns his past, but isn't owned by it. And above all, be the man who earns admiration through restraint, not overexposure. Mistake 5. Don't neglect your frame. Every man has a frame. It's the structure of who you are, what you believe, and how you lead your life. When you abandon that frame, when you bend your values, your pace, or your reality to please a woman, you don't become more attractive. you become invisible. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Your frame is your foundation. It's how you respond when she tests you, challenges you, or even tries to control you. Let's be clear. Every woman will test your frame, consciously or not. She's trying to feel your strength, not just your muscles, not your money, but your mental strength. If you change your plans because she's upset, you've lost your frame. If you stop seeing your friends because she's insecure, you've lost your frame. If you adopt her worldview just to keep peace, you've surrendered your leadership. In Stoicism, your internal world is your fortress. You rule over your domain with logic, discipline, and calm. A Stoic man never adjusts his center to fit another's storm. He is the still point in chaos. He leads, not from ego, but from principle. Women don't want to dominate you. They want to feel safe in your leadership. That only happens when your frame is rock solid. This means know your boundaries and enforce them. Know your schedule and protect it. Know your values and live them. She may not always like it, but she will always respect it. And respect is the soil from which attraction grows. So don't argue your frame. Don't explain it. Just live it. Because the man who knows who he is never needs permission to be him. And that man, he never gets walked on, he gets followed. Mistake 6. Don't try to impress. Just be. There's a dangerous belief circulating through modern dating that a man must impress a woman to win her. Flashy cars, over-the-top compliments, constant proof of value. But in the world of Stoicism, trying to impress is the fastest way to lose both her and yourself. Seneca said, "It is not the man who is too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." The more you try to impress her, the more you signal that you are not enough as you are. This doesn't spark attraction. It creates pressure, and pressure, especially early on, destroys polarity. Stoicism teaches that value is not something you advertise, it's something you embody. The grounded man doesn't seek validation. He doesn't talk about what he owns, where he's been, or who he knows. He shows up with quiet confidence and lets his energy speak. True masculine presence is like gravity. It doesn't need a shout to be felt. Here's the paradox. When you stop trying to impress, you become impressive. You free yourself from needing a reaction. You speak slower, listen more, and hold your posture like a king. Stop over-explaining your resume. Stop overselling your status. Let her discover you like a slow-burn novel, not a movie trailer. She'll remember how calm you were when others fumbled, how deeply you listened when others only talked, how little you tried to prove, and how much that said. Stoicism reminds us, be complete without applause, be desirable without dependence. Impression fades, but presence echoes long after the moment ends. So don't impress, just be. And in your stillness, she'll feel something she hasn't felt in a long time. A man who needs no audience to feel powerful. Mistake 7. Don't be too available. There's a strange paradox in human nature. The more someone is available to us, the less we seem to value them. And the same holds true in attraction. A man who is always there, always responding, always ready to drop everything, he becomes predictable. And in predictability, mystery, and attraction dies. Seneca said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." A Stoic man is not aimless. His time is guarded. His energy is sacred. And his presence, it must be earned. Being too available tells her your life is empty, that you have no purpose, that you're waiting, hoping for her to give it meaning. But the man who is focused, driven, and selective, he commands respect without speaking a word. This doesn't mean you ignore her or play games. It means you prioritize your priorities. She texts you during your workout, you finish the set. She wants to talk while you're in deep work. You respond after. She asks to meet last minute. You already have plans with your purpose. Scarcity breeds value. And when you're not always accessible, your presence feels like a reward, not a routine. A Stoic man doesn't disappear to manipulate. He creates space because he is occupied with becoming. And when he does give his time, his presence is powerful, his attention is full, and his words carry weight. Don't confuse accessibility with affection. She doesn't need you to be present 24/7. She needs to feel that your time is earned, not handed out like a discount. So stop trying to always be there. Start becoming the man who is missed when he's not. Because women don't fall for the man who waits. They fall for the man who walks with purpose, even when they're watching. Mistake 8. Don't be jealous or possessive. Jealousy is a signal, not of love, but of lack. It reveals where your self-worth ends and where your fear of being replaced begins. A Stoic man doesn't grip tightly to what he can't control. He simply becomes so valuable that loss is rare, and so grounded that loss is survivable. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you'll find strength. Possessiveness is not protection. It's insecurity dressed in armor, and that armor rusts quickly when a man becomes jealous. He begins acting from fear. He monitors her social media. He questions her male friends. He checks in not to connect, but to control. This doesn't make her feel loved. It makes her feel caged. Here's the deeper truth. A woman will test your confidence not when things are going wrong, but when they're going right. She'll flirt subtly, delay responses, or mention an old friend. Not because she wants to leave, but because she wants to see if you'll crack. A Stoic man doesn't crack. He doesn't panic. He doesn't spiral. Why? Because he knows he cannot possess another human being. He can only invite them to stay by becoming someone worth staying with. Instead of jealousy, the Stoic man builds abundance. He becomes a man with options. He becomes a man with purpose. He becomes a man whose presence is irreplaceable. So when she tests him, he smiles. Not because he's blind, but because he's beyond fear. Let her go if she must, and let her come back if she sees your worth. But never grip, never chase, never break, because nothing is more magnetic than the man who is strong enough to love without needing to own. And that kind of man, that's the one she doesn't want to lose. Mistake 9. Don't apologize for your standards. In today's dating world, it's become popular to call men toxic for having boundaries. If you expect respect, you're controlling. If you prefer femininity, you're insecure. If you require effort, you're labeled demanding. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." But here's the truth. Standards aren't arrogance, they're alignment. And a Stoic man is not afraid to be misunderstood for the sake of self-respect. When you lower your standards just to gain approval, you're not being generous. You're being dishonest. You betray the man you're meant to be for the woman you hope will stay. Don't apologize for wanting loyalty. Don't flinch when your expectations make her uncomfortable. Don't explain why your life has requirements. Just live them. A woman may push back against your standards, but if she's truly high value, she will rise to meet them. Remember, you are not her therapist. You are not her fixer. You are not her emotional punching bag. You are a man building a kingdom. And a king doesn't adjust his throne for someone who refuses to rise. Be calm when she resists. Be clear when she complains. And be gone if she refuses to honor the life you're leading. Because what you tolerate becomes your identity. And what you allow becomes your future. Set standards not to impress, but to protect. Not to manipulate, but to attract. Not to control others, but to control yourself. Women don't fall for the man who pleases everyone. They fall for the man who pleases his principles. And when you walk in truth without apology, You don't just gain attraction, you gain peace. Because nothing is more attractive than a man who knows exactly what he wants and refuses to settle for anything less. Mistake 10. Don't lose yourself in a relationship. Attraction begins with polarity. Polarity begins with identity. And identity begins with one question. Who are you when she's not around? Confucius said, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." Too many men step into a relationship and slowly step out of themselves. They give up their routines. They abandon their goals. They trade their solitude for constant companionship and call it intimacy. But what they've actually done is disappear. A Stoic man doesn't dissolve in love. He defines himself through it. Love should add to your life, not consume it. A relationship should amplify your identity, not erase it. And your sense of self, it should grow stronger, not softer. When you lose yourself, you become hyper-attentive to her moods. You adjust your values to avoid arguments. You stop leading and start orbiting. But when you remain grounded, you maintain your rituals. You nurture your solitude. You hold space for her and for yourself. The modern world has confused connection with codependency, but Stoicism reminds us that true love honors autonomy. You are not her emotional crutch. You are not her project. You are not half of a whole. You are a whole man. A relationship that requires you to betray your essence is not a relationship. It's a trap. So protect your time, guard your inner world, and never abandon your purpose for peace. Because the moment you lose yourself in a relationship, she loses the man she was drawn to in the first place. Let love orbit your identity, not override it. Be present, be connected, but above all, be you. And if she truly respects you, she'll never ask you to be anything less. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to Stoic Desire. We don't teach tricks, we teach truth. We don't teach manipulation, we teach mastery. And we don't chase validation, we cultivate power. Because the world doesn't need more nice guys. It needs more grounded men. Men of presence, men of purpose, men of Stoic desire. Subscribe now and keep walking the path.